Hi, Kyle here again from the Graves Racing Suspension Department. I've been getting a lot of calls lately, people asking me how much preload should their shock have, how much preload does it have on there, how do I check my preload, things like that. A common misconception is that you can check preload on a shock the same way you can on a fork. That's not the case. You can't simply count the amount of turns on your adjuster and call that your preload. That may be the case on forks, but like I said, not on the shocks. Preload on the shock is the actual amount that the spring is preloaded from its free length, okay? So what I'm gonna do right now is go ahead and take this spring off. We're gonna measure the free length. We're gonna reinstall it, in turn setting the preload. So here we go. So I'm just taking the clip off of the spring collar. I'm going to go ahead and release the pressure. Take the collar off. Take the spring off. This is also one of the Graves Racing rear springs that we offer here at Graves Motorsports. It's a short, lightweight racing spring for the Öhlins TTX shocks. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and measure the free length of the spring. Free length being the spring with no load on it, no pressure, uninstalled, okay? So we take our caliper, find two flat surfaces away from the ends if possible, measure it. Go ahead and zero your caliper once it's measured, okay? That's an important step. Now, we're going to take the shock. We're going to install the spring, put the collar back on, compress the jack, some of the other qualities that these Graves rear springs have over the other springs is that the consistency is really good. They're a very linear spring. They don't have a large progression like some other springs may have. So there we have it. The spring is now back on the shock. So this is the spring's installed length. We're going to go ahead and measure that. Now our caliper was zeroed on the extended length of the spring. So we're going to go ahead and put the caliper back on the spring and measure it. We're reading minus 11.16, so we'll call that 11.1 or 11 millimeters. So right now this spring has 11.1 millimeters of preload. That's not what I'm going for. I'm going for 13 on this spring right now. So what I'm going to do is take it back off, wind the collar down a bit. So if I want another about 2 millimeters more preload, I'm just going to go ahead and turn this collar here down. One turn is 1 millimeter. One turn, 2 turns. Reinstall the spring. Put it in the spring compressor. Put your clip back in. You need to make sure that the clip is in all the way, seated all the way around. And as you release the pressure from the spring compressor, make sure the clip seats properly. We're going to re-measure the installed length, 13.6. That's closer. Now I'm going to make a smaller adjustment. I'm going to take a T-handle here. I'm going to take some of the preload out from the hydraulic preload adjuster. 1 turn is approximately 1/2 millimeter on these particular preload adjusters. 12.99. We're going to go ahead and call that 13 millimeters preload. So there you have it. Setting preload the way we do it here in the Graves Racing department.